Thank you for joining me. We really appreciate the time that you're taking to let us interview and profile you and talk about your background and your interests.
Yeah.
I think you have a very interesting story that a lot of people could learn from. So I just want to ask you about it. So why don't you start by just telling us a little about your background, who you are, where you're from, and what you're up to.
All right. So my name is Angela Vujic. Both of my parents are Serbian, and I guess I'm kind of like a foreign import, even though I'm a natural citizen. And I have a love for Spanish, art, photography, and entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And I realized my love for entrepreneurship. Oh, sorry. Right now, I'm a freshman at Georgia Tech.
Okay, great.
And I'm Serbian, so both of my parents are Serbian. I have a love for art, Spanish, and entrepreneurship.
Awesome, very cool. Well, very interesting. I know that we talked about this before, kind of your lightning rod or your inspiration, kind of what a lot of people refer to as the aha moment, when they realize that I am destined to be an entrepreneur. Talk about your moment.
All right, so it definitely happened after I had an internship last summer.
Okay. And how old were you when it happened?
17.
Awesome.
Right. So there was something, that happened after the internship was done where I really loved my coworkers. I had an awesome time working at Jackson Healthcare at one of their startup projects, the healthcare staffing technologies. But I kind of had this feeling inside me I feel like I had so much more potential than just following orders and trying to climb a corporate ladder. Because my whole life I'd imagined myself in business. That's where I thought I would be. And then there was something right after that was over where should I stop?
Sorry, keep going.
Okay.
Let me.
Question again, where it's what was your aha moment?
Yeah, I'll do that. Okay.
Go for it.
So I know we talked about this before, and oftentimes it's referred to as the aha moment.
Right.
The time in your life when a person realizes that they are destined to be an entrepreneur. I want you to share that story with us.
Okay, so that definitely happened last summer after I had an internship, and I was 17 years old at the time, and it came to this point where at the end of my internship, I had loved my experience, I loved my coworkers, but there was this feeling inside me I felt like I had so much more potential to do things rather than, on my own accord, rather than just what my boss had assigned me to do. And I was honest with this with the coordinator of the internship program. It was with the Technology Association in Georgia, so I told Michael Robertson in the internship feedback form, I learned a lot, but I feel like this isn't for me. I have this feeling I would rather be an entrepreneur, because I could contribute so much more, something along those lines. So then he got back to me, and he recommended me to an entrepreneurship program that one of his close friends was running, and that's how pretty much the turning point in my life happened and when my life changed.
So that's a great story. The moment that you kind of went in there and talked to your boss and kind of confessed to him, hey, this is what I want to do. I think a lot of people struggle with that. How do I tell my employer who has been loyal to me, through providing me with a great opportunity, that I want to leave to go do something else? Talk about kind of what was going through your mind about and how you built up the courage literally to walk into his office and talk about that.
Interestingly enough, it was a written feedback form, so it's not like I had to walk in and tell him personally, but it did still take a bit of courage just to write it out, be honest, and I remember it was a very distinct thought where I was I'm going to be honest about this. I wasn't completely satisfied with my internship experience, but not because of what he had organized or the company, but because of my own inner turning point, or a realization that I had.
Excellent, excellent. So you talked about TIE. For those who aren't familiar, tell people about TIE.
TIE. Okay, so TIE is the TIE Young Entrepreneurs Program, And this is what my, the coordinator of the Technology Association of Georgia Internships program referred me to. And in a nutshell, it's pretty much a business plan competition. But in it, you just, I would say the best part of the entire thing is the mentors. I think that mentors are really important, like writing out a business plan, working with the team to create a very viable business idea that will do well in competition. That's all awesome, but I think what's amazing about it are the mentors that they give us. They're like already successful entrepreneurs, and like listening to their stories, gaining insight from them is really what gave me the biggest, greater push to be an entrepreneur.
Excellent. So it's funny that you say that, because that's part of our value proposition, the legacy movement, is that if you have a community of like-minded individuals all helping and supporting each other, it increases the likelihood that they're going to be successful. Giving back, mentorship, guidance, that is actually a critical element that is part of the entrepreneur journey. It's not just about capital. A lot of times entrepreneurs think, I just need more money and I can be able to do what I want to do. You actually really need good people around you. It's not just the money, so that's great. So thank you for sharing that. There was a point in your life when you thought about not going to college. You're a Georgia Tech student. Georgia Tech is one of the best universities in the world. I mean, if you think about just the value that you're getting just for being here and exposed to all of what's going on campus, the cost that you have to pay, it's a public university. Georgia Tech is amazing, right? So for anyone who's listening, they should apply to Georgia Tech, right? But at one point you thought about not going to college. Walk me through that dynamic of having this great opportunity to go to a phenomenal school that's not expensive, so you're going to get a great ROI for being there, and your thoughts about why you didn't want to go to college and why you chose to go.
Right. It did pass through my mind because at the end of the entrepreneurship program, I did talk to my mentor about how viable the idea is, and there was kind of like this feeling between me and like the group that I was working with, like, this could actually be done. Like, this is a money-making business idea. Like the idea that they had for something called Lulo, which it was like a application for a very smart way using big data for like restaurants to gather feedback and kind of improve the restaurants. And we looked at it, we were like, this is a money-making business idea and business model. So I did have this point at the beginning of the summer where I was like, there is the possibility that like I should not, I don't have to go to college. Like there might not be the need for that like in my life. Like, what am I going to gain from going to school for 4 years rather than just going out into the world and like using the resources I have, like people from my group to work with, my mentor. I had that group of people, and my family's my support system. Like, I could go out there and do this, but I realized that the point of college, even though I want to get a great education, like I'm going to go to my classes, I'm going to learn a lot. It is the social aspect. It is really learning how to handle your own time and your own freedom, because I'm pretty sure a lot of top students can relate with me on this. My parents are a huge influence in my life, and in a very positive way. I mean, sometimes it can be overwhelming, but for the most part, a very positive way. But I realized that never did I have the necessity to handle everything on my own. You know what I mean? Like, my parents never gave me complete freedom, and now that I'm here with complete freedom, that's great, but it's also something that can be very overwhelming to handle, and it's something that I need to learn to handle on my own before I try to venture out into the real world and make real mistakes and get real consequences. You know what I mean?
I think that's amazing. Those are some great insights. I mean, one of the things you said about the whole detour, go to college for 4 years, what am I going to walk away with? You're going to walk away with debt a lot of times. It's not as Georgia Tech, it's not that expensive, but for most people, it's a huge investment. You're walking with a lot of debt. A lot of students right now feeling, am I actually going to be able to pay my bills when I graduate and pay this money back if there aren't great job opportunities? But you made an interesting point that when you don't pursue your passion or the idea that you want to work on, it's actually a detour. It takes you away from doing it. And you have to question whether or not the detour that you take actually gets there. It's kind of almost like working in corporate America instead of just following your dreams, being an entrepreneur. You are doing something that is taking you away from what you really want to do, which is be an entrepreneur. So instead of spending time in corporate America for X number of years, making money and being frustrated, why don't you just go build whatever it is that you're passionate about? Take a detour.
I understand what you're saying, but you know what's interesting about college is that I strongly believe that you can find a balance between college and entrepreneurship. Like, even though I'm in college, it's not like I'm not going to be working on any new ventures. Like, this is the place to test out an idea. Like, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to start something new, college is the place where you can test out an idea, fail, learn from your mistakes, and not have the same consequences that you would in the real world.
That is an amazing point. So, key takeaway for all students, undergrad and grad school, while you are in school, one of the things that you could do, you don't have to do this, is use that time wisely to start testing business models. So instead of going to career fairs and learning about different companies, why don't you spend time trying to build a business to see if it works? Because if it does, you've got 4-year windows, 2-year windows, however you're in school, and if it works, now you can just run off and go build a business. And the great thing about being in college or at graduate school is you have access to some of the best and the brightest minds in the world. Your professors, other students, alumni, who can help you build that business while you're in school.
That is a great point. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's not only about, being able to try and fail. You also have amazing resources, like you said. Like, you have professors with office hours who, if they know something about what you want to work on, most professors are very, very inspired and intrigued by students who have those kinds of passions, because it's not common amongst everyone. And at the same time, there's also a lot of places to get money. That's what I really like. At Georgia Tech, for example, I'm in the honors program, and there's something I'm very interested in called the Georgia Tech Honors Program Challenge Fund, where they fund certain community projects each year, and they give money to students to do service projects. And then for myself, I haven't mentioned this yet, but in the realm of entrepreneurship, I really want to be a social entrepreneur. I'm very inspired by the Eunice, the Nobel Peace Prize winner, and I read his book, Building a Social Business, and I was extremely inspired by it. And then my goal is to touch upon the Georgia Tech Honors Fund to Honors Program Challenge Fund to forward my passions, or maybe get some money to fund my idea.
That's amazing, and I think it's a great point. The legacy movement is a social enterprise. People oftentimes try to compare us to Gust and AngelList and these matchmaking sites for investors and entrepreneurs, and I say, no, we actually don't do that. We're actually in the impact business, and we're trying to motivate and inspire others to be entrepreneurs, take control of their lives, take control of their economic freedom, and just go out and do what they're passionate about. And what you said was great in that you can do that with a social enterprise. You can do good and make money at the same time. And I think it's great that Georgia Tech actually provides resources for students to do that. Because I think that is what's going to cultivate the next generation of social entrepreneurs, is when you actually provide resources to support them. There's something else that you mentioned that I thought was really key about why college is important. And it's important in business too, and that's the social aspect. Oftentimes in business, it's not about who has the best idea, who builds the best relationships. So talk about what you're learning. I know you're early into your college career, but just talk about some of the aspects and the dynamics of the social environment you're at Tech and how you think that's going to help you in business long term.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I haven't been in college for many days. This is my 3rd day of college, but I'm just a freshman. But I did go on a 4-day retreat as a President's Scholar here at Tech, because they take us into the woods for 4 days, and as cheesy as it sounds, it definitely changed my life. It was extremely impactful. We went through some very hilarious moments. We went through some very tense and somber moments, and it does make you realize the importance of people, how much they matter in life. And it's exactly like what you said. You can have an awesome idea, but in the end, it's the people that matter. People are going to be using your idea. People are going to be hearing about your idea, running your idea. It's all about the social aspect.
That is true. That's a key core component of our value proposition is access to an amazing network of individuals and organizations that want to help you succeed, that have been where you're trying to go, or that are currently doing the exact same thing that you're doing, right? That peer-to-peer network, efficiency, reaching people quickly, getting help when you need it. That is the whole culture of the ecosystem that we're building. And I'm glad that you recognize that. And I think, it's great to hear you realize that only, after a few, days being in school, because it's so important in life. Relationships matter. There's also something that, a lot of times people ask me about, which is the dynamics of being a woman in business. So having these grand ambitions around social entrepreneurship, giving back to the world, going out here and just kind of chart their own path. Many women feel that they can't do it for a number of different reasons, whether it's what expectations society has for them. They have, ambitions to also be a mother, to raise kids, and they think about the trade-offs of being a CEO versus being, a stay-at-home mom versus just being active in their kid's life. How do you think about that? As you go out here and you're thinking about your ambitions, where does the family dynamic play into that for you?
Wow, that is really interesting to me. The word that you mentioned that intrigues me is fear. That certain women would have fear to become entrepreneurs simply because they're women. But God, honestly, I don't think it's an obstacle. I think it is a benefit. And the reason why is because since women are a minority, there's so much support for women in entrepreneurship. A great example in the Atlanta area is Startup Chicks. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard of it.
Jane Bonnet,
yes. For example, when people like women are a minority, I feel like there's actually more support and benefit in the entrepreneurship realm. You just have to seek it out. My best advice would be don't do it alone. Man, woman, whoever, you don't want to do it alone. That's another reason why I came to college is because in my project, I had an amazing group of high school students that I was working with, but they're in high school, you know what I mean? And I can't pull them out of that in order to work on my project. Like if I were to not do college and do a company instead, I probably would have ended up on my own. And I don't think that is the best way to do it.
Interesting. Did you find that there are a number of other women like yourself here on campus, or maybe that you went to high school with, who also want to be entrepreneurs but aren't going through this thought process of having this conversation because they don't have other women around them who are also thinking the same thing, right? Like we're in the middle of rush season at Georgia Tech, so you got a lot of people running around trying to be in sororities. How many people are thinking about
rush season actually just ended.
Okay.
I didn't rush myself, but what's interesting is that one of the things I'm really looking forward to at Tech is finding those women, which admittedly, so far, the people that I have met and really connected with who want to be entrepreneurs or social entrepreneurs have been men so far, but only so far. I have heard of examples of really great girls at Georgia Tech who have gone on to do great things in entrepreneurship, but I don't know, I look forward to kind of connecting with and meeting those women.
That's awesome, and the Legacy Movement definitely is going to be deeply integrated with Georgia Tech's campus and a number of organizations here, so we're definitely going to play a role in helping identify those women, bringing them into what we're doing, and then connecting you guys so you can start building your ventures and supporting each other, because that's so important, is to find like-minded individuals who want to do the exact same thing that you want to do, so you'll get there a lot faster. And the likelihood of success goes up. So there's a statistic about, only 10% of all new businesses make it. Well, that's because a lot of times, as they're going through their journey, they're not focusing on this people aspect of it, making sure they're in the right communities, the support networks, and having people around them that are going to help them be successful. So we want to basically have an impact on that 10% and say, let's move that to 20% or 30%. If you think about the number of jobs that can be created, if you start bumping up that number of new businesses that make it, it will be a phenomenal impact in this country if we can make that work. Talk about your future ambitions. So you've hit on a number of things. Next year, what are you doing? When you graduate, what are you doing? What does the next 5 years look like for you?
Are you talking about my vision for the future?
It can be whatever you want. What are you working on next year? So ideally, if someone watches this video and says, wow, I think Angela's story is great. She seems like a phenomenal person. I want to reach out to her. Who is that person that's reaching out to you? What do you want to do? Who should we try to contact you?
I really want, like I mentioned before, I really want to be a social entrepreneur. So, I mean, anybody who wants to have a positive impact with their business, who has a mission with their business and what they're doing. I know, for example, right now the idea that's turning in my head is borrowing Tom's one-on-one business model, and you know, where Tom Shoes sells a pair of shoes and then at the same time gives away a pair of shoes to somebody, for example, in rural Argentina where it got started, who needs it. And my idea is to use that business model and instead partner with restaurants where each time a person would buy a meal, they would also give a meal away. And I want to call it Lulu, which is a South American tomato, and it's just like a cute name. But that is my first idea. That's my first venture that I want to tackle, and within the next year, during my freshman year, with some like-minded people that I meet and I get to work with. And I know for a fact that as soon as I start working on it, when I put things together, when the idea comes to fruition, it's going to change, you know, because that's how it goes. But instead of sitting here and trying to think of a better idea, I want to go for it and then see what grows from it.
You'd be a great candidate for Starting Block. You should reach out to Starting Block, because Starting Block has an amazing network of social entrepreneurs, and I think they would love to have you be a part of their family. And I think you would find that person immediately if you participated in Starting Block. Immediately.
I would love to.
And then you guys can just go build that for the next 3 years while you're at Georgia Tech.
Mm-hmm.
That would be amazing, right? So thank you for that. That's great. So hopefully, as people watch this video and hear your story, they're interested in it, they'll get on our platform, they'll reach out to you, and you can just go build that business. So I wish you luck in that.
Thank you so much.
Is there anything else that, you know, for aspiring entrepreneurs, current students around the country who are watching this video, key takeaways or insights that you know, things that have happened in your life that you haven't shared already that you think would be helpful for them?
I think that certain, how do I explain it? I really want to reach out to people who are on the fence, or maybe even people who haven't considered being entrepreneurs. Like, really, you were talking about my future ambitions earlier. Besides just working on a project, within the next 4 years, I really want to pull people into entrepreneurship. You know, like, it's great that I'm constantly seeking like-minded people, but it would also be even better to find somebody who maybe isn't like-minded but has a passion, and convince them that they could be doing so much more if they took their passion and reached into entrepreneurship. Because there's a lot of people who fear entrepreneurship. I can't remember when I heard this, but there were sometime during high school for something we were talking about the future and like when we're going to get jobs and things. And then I mentioned that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and somebody else said, you know, like, wow, that, you know, that would scare me. You know, that it would be so scary to be an entrepreneur because there's so much room for failure, you know? And really, I want to be able to find people and not make them think that they're not going to fail, because they will fail, I'll fail, everybody will fail, but from that failure is where the success is going to be. And like, I really want to pull other people into entrepreneurship who haven't considered it before. That's another one of my goals.
Well, I think your goals are directly aligned with our value proposition, and that's what we do. We provide educational materials to motivate, inspire, and get people aware of what's going out here in traditional entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship, franchises, buying companies. That's exactly what we want. Just teach people so they will feel empowered, inspired, and also bridging them with a social network of like-minded individuals or other individuals who are just getting started. We're in the same boat as them, who also want to do it so they can do it together, increase the likelihood of success. So what you want to do is actually directly in line with what our value proposition is. And I think for people who are seeing this, they can find you on our platform, and they're also going to find 1,000 other people just like you. So now this whole fear around entrepreneurship, this is going to be hard and tough. It's not going to be so tough anymore because you're going to have a built-in support network through the platform. And people like yourself, we're going to be using our platform, or going to be doing just that. finding other individuals and getting them off the fence and getting them involved so they can also take control of economic freedom and then just follow their passions. That's what it's about in life. So thank you for that. Well, we really appreciate the time you spent with us. I think you have a phenomenal story. I have no idea, no doubt in my mind that you're going to be successful, and I'm really looking forward to putting it together in the next few years. Thank you.